Hi, I'm Rob Patz.
And I'm Kristen Stanton.
And this is the Rob and Kristen Show. We are so excited you are here with us. Summer is almost here.
Summer is here.
Well, technically not yet.
Okay, I guess on the calendar, summer isn't here yet. But when I look around and I see leaves on the trees and I see the flowers blooming and the birds chirping, I think summer is here.
Summer is here. We've got a lot of cool stuff coming up throughout the summer here on the show. But the neat thing I think we need to talk about is something that we have teased a couple of times and we have finally made live. And that is, not only do we do this show, but we also now have a YouTube channel.
I was like, what are you talking about?
Yes, because I didn't tell her ahead of time. I wanted that surprised look. But we have a YouTube channel. And in fact, recently we updated and uploaded some stuff that we did. We went to Fort Wayne International Airport. Is it international or is it just
Fort Wayne? It's Fort Wayne International Airport.
Okay, Fort Wayne International Airport. We went to Asheville Regional Airport. I believe that's what that one is called. And you get to see kind of a tour. We did a walking tour. They're both very small. And we walked from gate to gate, all the way from one gate to the other, except Fort Wayne. And technically there are, I think, 2 more gates that are not remodeled yet, but they're working on it.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. That whole trip was a lot of fun. And we got to go to the Biltmore. Have you ever been to the Biltmore? If you haven't, you really need to go. It was amazing.
You need to go. We'll probably go back. Now, here's what we did, though. And this is the one thing, you know us. Normally, we like to tape everything for television and just for our own. And Kristen looked at me near the start and said, you know what? Let's just enjoy this, take some pictures, and just really soak this all in. And we did. And we know what? We had a lot of fun. Not that we don't love sharing this stuff with you, but it was just a lot of fun to be able to kind of take our time, exhale, and just really just enjoy our time together. And I wholeheartedly recommend the Biltmore. Check out, it's the Rob and Kristen Show on YouTube, and you can find all kinds of cool stuff, including over the next few months, some old Rob and Kristen shows, plus our adventures. We're headed to Puerto Rico, which of course, if you know the song, my wife is irritated by it. But if you're on social media, we're gonna land in Puerto Rico at San Juan. We'll be there, and the whole plane will clap, I'm sure.
Yes, I'm sure.
So, hey, we got a great interview today. This was really a lot of fun. And a lady with a true heart for kids and just a great person in general.
It was really so interesting because we talked to a lot of different people, and you know how much we really enjoyed speaking with authors. But this one was just a little bit different because this was more of how her life and her book kind of intertwined. And it was just really interesting. And I hope that you enjoy this interview with Callie Murray.
They always tell me you shouldn't put yourself in a box, but here we are.
I want to know, how long did it take you to come up with that joke?
That actually was new. There was another joke but I had to reset the timer on the clock, so that was what the new one was. If you know that when we go to this format that we're going to have somebody that's why Kristen is smiling like she is. It's always an author. It's always a book I haven't read.
It's not always an author, Rob. We've had pastors on before. We've had political people on, so it's not always an author. But maybe it's my smile is different when it's an author.
There we go. That could be it. I don't know what it is, but it's one of those things. And it's good. This is going to be a good show because we get a chance always to meet people ahead of time. And I am excited about this interview.
So am I. I mean, we've got a great author on. She's a brand new author, and that's always exciting. But she has an awesome story to tell, and I cannot wait for you to hear about what God is doing in her life. Please welcome to the show, Callie Murray. Thank you so much for being with us on the Rob and Kristen Show.
Hey, thanks, y'all. This is fun.
So obviously we have you on the show because you've got a new book coming out, but and this book, it sounds super interesting. But this book, I want you to tell us a little bit about yourself, but then tell us how you got started in thinking, hey, I want to write a book, because this is your first book, right?
Yeah, this is my first book, first novel, and I am not a writer by trade. I am
I was gonna say, well, you are now.
now. Yeah, it's funny. Even you saying an author, I was like, oh yeah, I guess that's me. So I'm an entrepreneur, and so I have, over the course of my career, started businesses, and I spent my whole 20s with a business called The Big Fake Wedding. And I feel like, I don't see Rob's face right now, I feel like he would appreciate this entrepreneurial story, but that was a wedding. It was a wedding marketing company, basically. There's his face. Yep.
Big Fake Wedding, kind of like something else. But so yeah, okay. Now that you've gone down this road and called me back from the other room,
I know.
it's so. What was the Big Fake Wedding?
Okay, so the Big Fake Wedding was a marketing event for wedding vendors. And so we would literally host fake weddings all over the country. And engaged couples would come, and there would be a ceremony. It was always a vow renewal of a real local couple. And they would have a dinner and a dance party reception and get to just try out vendors in action. So
That
was
is so interesting.
wild. So, and I mean, I got to be on the Today Show and New York Times, and like, it was a whole crazy adventure. And it was, I mean, I could tell you so many stories about that, but that's not what we're chatting about. So I would, did that all, for about a decade, sold the business 10 years ago, and have, built businesses, help people build businesses. I have an HR company now. That's like my day job, same page, HR. But to answer your initial question, I love to read. I love historical fiction in particular. And a couple years ago, I finished a book and was reading the author's note in the back. And it just hit me that you're not born a novelist. Like, this is something, just like a business, it's something you can build and learn and grow. And so got the idea that I wanted to write a novel, and then started thinking through what would I want it to be about. And that's kind of what led me to the Brunswick.
Okay, so this is maybe a little bit different than other people. Some people like, oh, I dreamed of being an author my whole life. I've been going to these writers' conferences. So, but how do you get from, oh, I want to write a book to, hey, look, I've got a published book?
Yeah. Like I said, kind of like building a business, or my husband he always likes to do races, like a bike race or a marathon. And so he's training for something. And so I actually pitched him years ago on this idea of, could I train to write a novel? And so that's kind of where it started, was like, I would like to do this thing just like you run a race. And so I started drafting. Well, I did research first. So I kind of decided what I wanted to write about. I found a true story in the Holocaust Encyclopedia that I thought was really fascinating. And that kind of inspired the story behind the Brunswick. And then started writing. And the advice I got was, for the first draft, like, tell the story to yourself. And so that was, I mean, maybe a year or two of just working out this story. And then it led to, I mean, I think I've maybe done like 9 or 10 full revisions on this one. So.
And then how did you end up getting it to the point, though, that where somebody said, yes, we want to accept this?
Yeah, I guess after that first draft, I had my husband and a friend read it. And that was like the magic moment for me of going like, oh, readers is where it's at. Like, it's so fun to have people enter your world with you that you've been living in your Google Docs with. And so I would edit, and then I would send it to new people to read. And then I would edit some more, and then eventually went down the whole path of traditional publishing. So getting an agent, getting a publisher, working with the editors. And I think because of my entrepreneurial background, I've loved the launch process. And I mean, it truly has been such a dream to like get this out in the world.
So did you get any no's before you finally had somebody say, yes, we want to publish it?
Yeah, my hardest part was the agent piece, actually.
Okay.
So, which I've heard, if you think of the funnel, like, anybody can try and get an agent, whereas agents are the ones that submit to publishers.
Right.
So I had some feedback along the way with agents. Some, it's just a generic no, and some was like, here's why it's a no. Those were incredibly helpful pieces of
Sure.
feedback, and I got to make edits, and I feel like those led me to my agent Dawn, who I adore, and with a much stronger manuscript. So
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, there was definitely a part in there where I was like, never mind, I'm out. But ultimately, it worked, and it brought me to Dawn, and then that brought me to my publisher.
Well, and maybe for somebody who, I mean, it sounds like you took this on as a challenge. So maybe for somebody who just has a dream of doing this, it might be a little discouraging to go, "Oh my goodness, I have to rewrite this so many times." And it has to be at least a little bit hard the first couple of times where you get that feedback and it's not all positive. It's your little baby. Hey, you know what? I want everybody to love this, right?
Oh, totally. Yeah, it really is. I mean, it's such your heart and soul. And then you just put it out there and say, like, how many stars do you want to give it?
Right?
What's interesting with the editing process, though, is then you can make those changes or decide if you want to. Now it's weird. It's printed, and I'm like, I don't want to know unless tell me you think it's beautiful. But
So tell us a little bit about the book.
yeah, so it's called the Brunswick. It is set in 1939. So this is right before the war. So things are kind of brewing overseas, but America has not entered, and a lot of America doesn't even know what's going on. It's set in Norcross, Georgia, which is the little town where I actually live. And the kind of the short premise is a woman, Cora, is asked to use her family's old hotel called the Brunswick to house refugee children from Austria, from Nazi occupation. And so in a ways, it's this like foster care story. It's not like we think of foster care where there's no system and defects or whatever, but it's a story of people who are not able to parent because of circumstances that are asking someone else to kind of step in. There's a love story in it. I mean, Cora has to kind of grapple with the choices her parents made as she tries to accept love. And so, yeah, that's the story of the Brunswick.
And you said you got the idea from something that you read from an actual event. So how much of that actual event did you use and how much of it did you create?
Yeah. So I Googled foster care World War II, and that was foster care had been an interest of ours. I knew World War II-ish was kind of the setting I wanted. And I found this story of a Jewish couple in Philadelphia who in 1939 went overseas and brought 50 children to America on this loophole with visas. And I just thought it was so interesting. Like I was thinking of the parents and what would make them make that decision. Even just the idea of a Jewish couple having the bravery to go into Nazi occupation um, and then thinking about the children coming here and, how long do you keep them here? And when do you start considering adoption? And all of those things was so interesting. The problem was I could not imagine Philadelphia. I tried Googling it. I would look up pictures of 1939 Philadelphia, and it just wasn't clicking for me. But I live in this little town in Norcross, and I know about the Brunswick Hotel that's a block away from me, or it used to be. It's now a vet clinic. It's so sad. It had been leveled, and but anyway, I just started imagining what if the children came to Norcross. And so I would say, I say inspired by true events. This is
Sure.
definitely not based on a full true story. Um, and then some of these characters I got to create and weave in some of my own stories even in there. And yeah, so I say it's inspired by stories that have kind of been grafted together.
And you said that fostering was something that you had a personal interest in. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, my husband and early in our marriage talked about, one day could we foster or adopt? He was in the military, so we just had seasons of moving somewhere brand new and knowing no one. And just this idea of like being able to be kind of community and family for people felt deeply personal to us. And so we actually got approved years ago to foster, but then he got orders to deploy. And it had kind of been this like frustrating like, it felt like a call in our lives that we were just missing, you know?
Mhm.
So in a lot of ways, this book felt like maybe it was my answer to that. We even decided pretty early on to take all of our proceeds from the book and give it in grants to foster and adoptive families.
That's awesome.
And so it's been this fun, like, maybe this is what the call looks like. I signed this book deal, and a couple months later, had a dream of a very specific preteen girl. I mean, what she looked like and everything, and felt like God said, "This is your daughter." And we had never thought, when we thought about fostering, we pictured a cute little 2-year-old, or, like, this wasn't what we
Right?
were. Um, the next day, I actually had a dream of a kind of like a formless, faceless person with no arms and no legs. And the thing that stuck out to me was four, like no arms, no
Mhm.
legs. Um, well, super weird dreams. What are you going to do with that? But a few days later, we got a text from a friend who didn't know about the dreams. And she said, "Hey, I just received a text about these children that need a forever home. They're in foster care. It's not an adoptive placement. They need a forever home. Do you know of anyone?" She sends me the text. It's 4 children, number 4, and it is that girl and her 3 younger siblings. And
Wow.
it was just this moment of like, "Oh, I think it's us." And I text my husband at work and say, "Are you ready for me to wreck your life?" And send him the picture, and it kicked off this kind of whirlwind few months where we got approved again. We were going to meet them slowly and, like, very calmly introduce them to this new world. But then the way the foster care system goes is we get a text one day that says, "Plans changed. We're on our way now." And we hadn't met them, and they show up and we say, "Welcome home." And it was the day my manuscript was approved, was the day that the kids came
Wow.
to their family. Yeah.
That is so interesting. So, all of this happened after you had already written the book.
Yeah, and it's crazy. I actually just read the book, like, in its printed format, and, it's wild just to think of the ways I feel like our heart had been prepared for this through writing this story.
So God was really using all of these things and really your heart's desire, and you felt as though you weren't having your heart's desire met, and so it sounds like you then poured some of those things into this book and made this decision, "Hey, let's take the proceeds of this and let's do something that means something to us with it, and we're gonna support this." Was it the foster and adoption? Is that what you said?
Yeah, we've been able to give, so far we've given $11,000 in grants to foster and adoptive families, as well as 2 families who are, we call them preservation families. It's
Mhm,
biological families at risk of foster care,
mhm.
but they just need some more community and financial support. And so I think too, now that we've got our own deep story, I mean, I just like, there's so much that goes into foster care and adoption from all parts. I mean, I think even writing the story, I have such a tenderness for the birth parents,
Mhm.
like, um, I think about that a lot with these parents in Austria who, like, they're not sending their kids away because they're bored. I mean, it is like out of love that they're trying to figure out, how to get some help with parenting.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you about that because you wrote the book, but then you experienced it, and when you looked at those kids, were you then thinking about how you put yourself in that position while you were writing the book and thinking, "What are these kids thinking, and how are they feeling, and what are the birth parents thinking, and what are they feeling? And now what am I doing with all of my emotions?" Because would imagine that it was even though it was something that you always wanted, that it couldn't have been easy.
Oh, totally. And I would say, I mean, there's a line in the book that talks about adoption's beautiful, but it's built on a foundation of heartache and
Mhm.
cracks that only can heal through time, which is true. It's the thing is, uh, foster care and adoption is not how it should be, right? Like, it is, this this happens like, I think about that a lot with my kids, where they're so wonderful and beautiful, and there's this sadness to me of the birth parents that don't get to experience it right now. And
Mhm.
I do, I feel such a tenderness towards them. And, so yeah, I think just the nuances of it all, or I got to grapple with for years writing this story, and now we're living it out.
That is just amazing. It's amazing to me how God works.
Mhm.
So, what's on the horizon for you? Are you planning another book? Is this the first of a series or
Yeah, so this book deal that I got to sign was a 2-book deal, which was so
okay.
exciting. So book 2 is not a sequel. It is a standalone, also historical fiction. I have been writing it this past year, which is also while we've been, merging together our families. And so I turned in a draft recently to my publisher, and it's funny. I think it might be wonderful because it's so raw. It also might
Mhm.
be trash. I'm not sure. I'm waiting. Um, but it too, I mean, I feel like I just got to grapple with, I think trauma, I think is like the idea of things happening that your brain does not know how to process is a lot of what I grappled with in this book that I think we've grappled with this past year of um, things like our kiddos have gone through, families that we know that have been through foster care and adoption that they've been through, and so yeah, so it's in theory, this second book will release next year, 2027.
And then so what's after that? Like, because here, you're an author, you're an entrepreneur, you are an adoptive mom now, and so, like, what's next? Has God put something in your heart and you're going, "Hey, I wanna do this next," because it sounds like you're building businesses and doing a lot of really interesting things.
Yeah, gosh, good question. I will say, this year's been a lot. It's been beautiful. Like uh, our adoption finalized 2 weeks ago, the week of the book release. So two beautiful things that in some ways felt like the end, and then as they happened, we go, oh, these are beginnings, right? Like you adopt, and you're like now forever, and now the book release forever, and
Mhm.
and so I think if I've learned anything, it is that, yeah, I think I've loved the experience of hearing from God and then just getting to, in faith, live out whatever crazy adventures He's got for us. I think there's right now a desire to like settle in and normalize a little bit after this last year. And so I know that I'm a builder and I know that I will be building again. Um, but not quite sure
Well,
yet what it's going to be.
you're building right now
Mhm.
because you're rebuilding the lives of these kids that God has put in your life.
Yeah, that is true.
And
That is true.
and that's something that a lot of people I don't know, a lot of people I don't think really understand that because these kids have been through and I'm not talking about yours in particular because I don't know the details, but as a family law attorney, I will tell you that I see kids that are destroyed every single day. And it takes the right people to help build them back up. And so you really are rebuilding certain things and help, like you said earlier, helping them heal. And so, you think about all the businesses you've built and the things that God has done and you think about, God's really just prepared you all of this time for what you're doing right now and it's really giving you your heart's desire. And to me, it's just amazing. I don't know anybody else that's watching. I'm just sitting here thinking this is just truly an amazing story. But I do have to ask one more question. And Rob, I know you're on here, so you're going to ask a question, but I've got to ask one question. So, have you gone to the bookstore and have you seen your book on the shelf?
I have, and it has been wild. The coolest thing, so we live in this little town and we have a local bookstore, Freckles and Co. And I walked by 2 weeks ago and they had made their whole window the Brunswick, like a
Oh, that's
giant
awesome.
printed book. And they have a whole like section about the Brunswick, and that's been the wildest thing. So cool.
Are you doing any book signings there?
We did one there. We got to do a big one with, a band called Mission House. They're some of our favorites. I got to do, like, a fun one out in Denver the other day, and now we're taking a break for a minute.
So was it a little bit surreal, at least at the beginning when you first looked and you're like, "Hey, that's my book. This is real. I have a real book here."
So surreal. And there's been moments like we had friends' parents in North Carolina go to Barnes and Noble and buy the book and like send a picture. So it's a stranger I don't know, a city I don't know. I'm getting like texts from people that are reading it, texts of their friends that are reading it. It's so surreal.
That's awesome.
So neat.
That is awesome. So my question has nothing to do with anything.
Great.
That is correct because that's what I do. Callie, here's my question because you talked about the wedding side that you did. So I'm going to ask you a question about that. Favorite flavor for a wedding cake?
Okay, I will mess up your question and say we did a Krispy Kreme donut tower, and I have seen those before in other places. And I'm going to say the non-wedding cake. I like to see something different. Is that okay?
Okay, so now since you didn't do that, I got one more question.
Okay.
Because you didn't answer my question.
That's right.
So I'm going to ask another one.
Okay,
Favorite topping on a pizza?
Favorite topping on a pizza is I'll go with like bacon. Can I say bacon?
Ooh, I like it. Good choice.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So now I have a question related to the wedding. What is the most unique thing you've seen relating to weddings?
Oh gosh, good question. The most unique thing. Okay, I immediately go to Austin, Texas, and they had donkeys outside that were like that would escort people in. And then I think they would have they could put like drinks in the like the donkeys would basically like deliver the drinks. So that was my immediate thought. Yep.
Yeah, that is definitely unique.
Yeah.
Hey, that's Texas for you right there. For all our Texas people, they're like, yeah, that's normal. Callie, thanks for being with us. Go check out the book, and we appreciate you so very much.
Thanks, y'all.
Of course, I had to talk about cake. It had to be a topic, and she avoided that, and I don't know why. We'll have to talk to Callie again sometime.
I don't either. So what is your favorite flavor of cake?
Oh, easy
I mean, I know this, but you might not.
At any event, it's chocolate cake. I love. Now, for a wedding, of course, you have the cream colored outside, but definitely chocolate cake. What's yours?
Oh, I don't know. I have a lot of different favorite cakes. It just depends upon how I feel. Anybody else like that? Like you say, oh, I really like this kind of cookie today, and it's my favorite. And then somebody says, oh, what about this? And you're like, oh, I like that one too. Well, that's kind of how I feel. Ice cream, mint chocolate chip probably, but not with cake.
Not mint chocolate chip with cake. No. Got to have vanilla ice cream with chocolate cake. It's the only way to go. And man, this makes me hungry. I think we should go have some cake. Hey, listen, we appreciate you. Remember, check out our YouTube channel now. Besides going and doing the on-demand on the app. And if you want to reach out to us, it's easy. You just go to, it says contact on the app. In your app, it'll say contact. It's up in the corner. I didn't know this until recently. And it says that, and we had the network for 4 years. You just hit contact. We would love to hear from you. Remember to watch us on demand or on our YouTube channel. And we want you to go out and live an abundant life.